Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen closely tonight, because what I'm about to say could change the entire direction of your life. Some of you came here tired, discouraged, carrying questions you've been asking for months or maybe even years. You've been praying, waiting, hoping, but nothing seems to move. You've been asking, when will my breakthrough come? When will my miracle happen? Well, I came to tell you tonight, your miracle is coming. It may not look like it, it may not sound like it, and you might not feel it, but the hand of heaven has already set something in motion for you. The key is simple, yet powerful: stay ready. Because the greatest tragedies in life are not missed opportunities, they're unprepared hearts. God moves suddenly, swiftly, and supernaturally, but He never moves without purpose. And when the miracle comes, only those who are ready will recognize it. Let me tell you something. Miracles don't always come wrapped in glory. Sometimes they come disguised as struggle. Sometimes they come in the middle of your midnight. When the disciples were in that storm, they didn't recognize Jesus walking on the water. They thought it was a ghost. And that's how many of us miss what God is doing, because His miracles don't always look like miracles at first. But oh, if you stay ready, if you keep your faith anchored, your heart pure, your hope alive, you'll see that what looked like a storm was actually the pathway for your Savior to show up. You see, faith is readiness. It's not just waiting, it's preparing. Faith doesn't sit around saying, maybe one day. Faith builds the room before the guest arrives. Faith prepares the altar before the fire falls. Faith plants the seed before the rain comes. Too many people want the blessing without the building, the promise without the preparation. But I tell you tonight, before the manifestation, there must be preparation. God will not pour new wine into old wineskins. He will not place a miracle in a heart that's still filled with doubt and fear. Maybe you've been tested lately. Things falling apart, prayers unanswered, doors closing. You think you're being punished, but you're being positioned. You think it's a setback, but it's really a setup. Every great miracle in Scripture was preceded by a test that demanded faith. The Red Sea didn't part until Moses lifted his staff. The walls of Jericho didn't fall until the people marched. Lazarus didn't rise until someone rolled away the stone. You've got to do your part, stay ready, so that when heaven moves, you're already in position to receive. And I want you to hear this. Your miracle is not delayed, it's being developed. God is aligning people, timing, and circumstances you can't even see right now. Behind the scenes of your struggle, there's divine activity taking place. And when the moment comes, it will come suddenly, without warning, like a lightning flash across the sky. So don't give up. Don't lose heart. Don't quit on the edge of your miracle. Stay ready in prayer, in gratitude, in worship. Because when the miracle arrives, it will not wait for your preparation. It will require your readiness. My friend, the miracle you've been praying for, it's on its way. It may come tonight. It may come next week. It may come when you least expect it. But when it comes, you'll look back and say, if I hadn't stayed ready, I would have missed it. So tonight, make up your mind. Let faith rise again. Let hope breathe again. Stand tall, even in the waiting. Because your miracle, your long-awaited breakthrough, your divine turnaround, your open door, is coming. And when it does, may it find you ready, faithful, and standing firm. Stay ready, because heaven is closer than you think. There are moments in life when everything around you seems to stand still. The prayers you've been praying sound like echoes fading into the silence. The promises you've held on to feel distant, and hope begins to tremble at the edges of your faith. It's in those quiet, uncertain moments that God often begins His greatest work. The miracle doesn't always announce itself with a trumpet. Sometimes it begins in the silence, in the hidden places where your heart is stretched, your patience tested, and your faith refined. You may look around and see no movement, no evidence that anything is changing, but heaven is never idle. Behind every season of stillness is a season of preparation. Just because you can't see the hand of God doesn't mean He isn't holding everything together. The silence of God is not the absence of God. It is the womb of something divine being formed for your life. Think about it. Before a seed can grow, it must be buried. Before the dawn breaks, the night must complete its course. Before a miracle comes to light, it often goes through a process of divine obscurity. Many people lose heart in the quiet seasons because they mistake God's silence for God's neglect. But if you could only see what heaven is arranging, what doors are being crafted, what hearts are being stirred on your behalf, you would realize that the silence is not punishment, it's preparation. Every delay carries purpose. Every unanswered prayer is shaping your endurance. Every quiet night is teaching your soul how to listen. We serve a God who works in patterns of preparation. When Joseph was thrown into a pit and later imprisoned, it wasn't the end of his dream. It was the molding of his character. When David was watching sheep in the wilderness, forgotten by men, he was being trained for the throne he would one day occupy. When the Israelites wandered for 40 years, God was not denying them the promised land. He was preparing them to inhabit it. And when Jesus waited 3 days in the tomb, heaven was preparing the greatest miracle in all of history. So if your life feels buried, silent, or still, understand that you are not forgotten. You are being formed for something that requires your readiness. In those quiet seasons, God works on things you cannot see. He aligns circumstances, opens hearts, closes wrong paths, and refines your spirit so that when the miracle finally arrives, you can handle it with maturity and gratitude. Too many people want the miracle, but not the process. They want the blessing without the breaking. Yet the breaking is what makes the miracle meaningful. The waiting season strengthens the faith that will be needed to carry the blessing. Without preparation, the miracle would become a burden instead of a blessing. That's why God takes His time. He's not late, He's deliberate. It's easy to believe when the heavens are open, but real faith is forged in the silence. Real faith is when you keep building the ark though the sky is clear. Real faith is when you keep praising though the walls of Jericho still stand tall. Real faith is when you say, I will trust you, Lord, even when there's no visible reason to. And it's that kind of faith that draws the miracle closer. Because when God sees a heart that refuses to quit, a soul that keeps believing despite the silence, He says, now you're ready. Now I can move. The truth is, God never stops working. Even in the moments that feel like nothing is happening, the clock of heaven is still ticking, and every second is drawing you nearer to your breakthrough. What you see as delay is often divine timing unfolding in ways your eyes cannot perceive. Just as a painter doesn't reveal the canvas until the masterpiece is complete, God doesn't always show you the details of His work until the picture is ready to be unveiled. That's why you must keep your heart expectant, your faith alive, and your spirit ready. Your miracle is not lost, it's simply in transit. Heaven hasn't denied your request, it's preparing the perfect moment to release it. And when it comes, it will come suddenly. It will come in such a way that you'll say, if it had come any earlier, I wouldn't have been ready for it. So hold your ground in the silence. Keep your eyes lifted. Stay faithful in the waiting, because the same God who spoke light into darkness is still speaking life into your situation. And while you may not see it now, you can be certain that behind the silence, a miracle is already on its way. Faith is more than a word we speak or a feeling we chase. It is a posture of readiness. It is the steady conviction that what God has promised, He will perform, even when every visible sign says otherwise. Faith is not just believing that something can happen. It's living as though it already has. It's setting the table before the guests arrive. It's building the ark before the rain begins to fall. It's marching around the walls before they show even the slightest crack. Faith is readiness in action, an unwavering confidence that moves you to prepare for the miracle long before it shows up at your door. There's a difference between waiting on God and being ready for what He sends. Many people wait passively, sitting in discouragement, wondering when something will change. But faith doesn't wait with folded hands. Faith gets up early in the morning, prays, plans, works, and believes as though the promise could come today. Faith says, I may not see it yet, but I'm going to live like it's already mine. When you truly believe, your life begins to reflect that belief in every choice you make. You speak differently, think differently, and walk differently because your heart knows something your eyes can't yet see. The reason some miss their miracle is not that God didn't answer. It's that they weren't ready when He did. Faith prepares the heart to receive. If the blessing came before you were ready, it could overwhelm you instead of empower you. Faith is what enlarges your capacity to handle the miracle. It teaches you patience, humility, and dependence. It reminds you that what's coming is not earned by effort, but received through readiness. Think of the farmer. He plants his seed months before he ever sees the harvest. He waters, weeds, and waits, not because he's seen any sprouts yet, but because he knows the rain will come and the ground will yield what was planted. That's faith acting today in expectation of tomorrow's miracle. Faith also requires a certain stubbornness of spirit. When the circumstances mock your belief, when the delay stretches longer than you thought possible, you must choose to stand firm. Faith doesn't crumble under pressure, it grows stronger in it. It says, I don't know how or when, but I know who. It doesn't look to the calendar or the clock, it looks to the character of God. That's why faith is readiness. It keeps the door of your heart unlocked, the lamp of hope burning, and the eyes of your soul looking upward, even in the darkest night. There are times when God deliberately waits to fulfill a promise, in not to discourage you, but to deepen your faith. Because faith that has been tested is faith that can be trusted. When you've walked through seasons of silence and still believed, when you've cried tears of frustration but refused to give up, that kind of faith becomes a foundation upon which miracles are built. You don't just hope for blessings anymore. You're prepared for them. You've learned to trust in His timing, not yours. You've learned that readiness is not just about circumstances aligning, but about your spirit aligning with God's will. Faith is readiness because it transforms waiting into worship. It turns anxiety into anticipation. It takes what should have been discouragement and turns it into discipline. When your faith is alive, you don't need to see the whole path. You just take the next step, trusting that each one brings you closer to what God has promised. And in that obedience, those quiet, faithful steps, miracles are born. There's a story told of a village that gathered to pray for rain. The people filled the church and lifted their voices, asking God to send water from the heavens. But only one little boy came carrying an umbrella. That's what faith looks like. It's not just praying for rain. It's walking out the door ready to get wet. When your heart truly believes that God is able, you start living like the miracle is already on the calendar. You prepare your home, your habits, your heart, because you know heaven is faithful to deliver. So, if you find yourself waiting for a miracle today, don't waste the waiting. Use it to get ready. Prepare as though the door could open at any moment. Speak life even when you feel weary. Keep your hands lifted and your heart open, because when God moves, and He will, He looks for those who are prepared, those whose faith has kept them ready. Don't let doubt cause you to miss the moment heaven sends your answer. Stay in that posture of readiness, because the miracle you've prayed for is not just on its way. It's looking for a place to land, and it will land where faith has made room for it. Every miracle begins with preparation. Long before the breakthrough comes, there is a season when God is working beneath the surface, shaping hearts, building endurance, and stretching faith. The question is never whether God can perform the miracle. He can and He will. But whether we are prepared to carry what we've prayed for. Many people cry out for miracles, yet their hearts, minds, and habits remain unready to receive them. Preparation is the unseen foundation of every divine moment. God never delivers a blessing to a place that cannot sustain it. That's why readiness is not an optional step. It is the soil in which miracles grow. In Scripture, we see this pattern again and again. Before Noah could see the flood, he had to build the ark. Before David could face Goliath, he had to learn how to use his sling in the fields with the sheep. Before Jesus began his ministry, he spent 40 days in the wilderness preparing for the purpose ahead. God always takes time to prepare His people, not because He is delaying the promise, but because He knows that the strength you build in the preparation will sustain you through the miracle. If the blessing came before you were ready, it could destroy you instead of develop you. The waiting, the working, the wondering, all of it is part of the divine design to shape your capacity for the miracle that's on its way. Preparation is an act of faith. It says, I believe something is coming, so I'm getting ready for it. You cannot receive what you are not prepared for. If you are praying for opportunities, prepare by sharpening your skills. If you are praying for restoration, prepare by softening your heart. If you are asking for promotion, prepare by cultivating humility. Every miracle requires a vessel ready to receive it. God can send the rain, but if you haven't dug the ditch, the blessing will flow past you. Readiness is about building the structure for what heaven is about to pour out. Sometimes the preparation doesn't make sense. It may feel slow, difficult, or even frustrating, but every act of obedience, no matter how small, is a brick in the foundation of your miracle. Think about the widow in the Old Testament who was told to gather empty jars for oil. She didn't know why. She didn't see how those jars could change anything, but she obeyed. And when the oil began to flow, it didn't stop until every jar she had prepared was filled. The miracle was limited not by God's power, but by her preparation. Had she gathered more jars, she would have received more oil. That's the power of readiness. God fills what we prepare. Preparation also tests your trust. It asks you to believe before there's evidence, to move before you see movement. It's easy to worship when the miracle has already arrived, but true faith worships while the answer is still on the way. God watches how you handle the season before the blessing. Do you stay faithful in small things? Do you stay obedient when no one is watching? Do you stay grateful when nothing seems to be changing? Those are the signs of a heart that's ready. Miracles come to those who remain steadfast when the world says to give up. There's also a reason God takes time to prepare you. The miracle isn't meant just to bless you. It's meant to grow you. If you receive too much too soon, you might not have the character to sustain it. Preparation strengthens your spirit so that when the blessing comes, you don't crumble under its weight. It's like a musician practicing for years before standing on the stage, or an athlete training before the championship. Without preparation, success becomes overwhelming. But with preparation, it becomes purposeful. God doesn't just want you to experience the miracle. He wants you to walk in it with wisdom, gratitude, and strength. So, ask yourself, are you ready for what you're praying for? Are you building the ark before the rain? Are you gathering the jars before the oil flows? Are you preparing the field before the harvest arrives? Because the truth is, your preparation is a prophecy. Every act of readiness declares, I believe something good is coming. And that declaration moves heaven. Sometimes we think we're waiting on God, but in reality, God is waiting on us. He's waiting for our hearts to align, our faith to mature, our obedience to deepen. When the preparation meets the appointed time, the miracle manifests instantly, suddenly. Everything you've been waiting for begins to unfold, but when it does, it won't feel sudden. It will feel sacred, because you'll realize that every lonely night, every hard lesson, every quiet prayer was preparing you for this moment. So keep preparing. Keep believing. Keep building even when you don't see results yet. Because when the miracle arrives, and it will only find those who are ready. The oil will flow into every vessel you've prepared. The rain will fall on every field you've plowed. And the promise will fill every corner of the space you've made for it. Stay ready, stay faithful, and keep preparing your heart. Because your miracle is not waiting to be made. It's waiting to be received. Every testimony begins with a test. Before every miracle, there is a trial that challenges everything you believe, a moment that stretches your patience and pushes your faith to its limit. It is easy to praise when everything is going well, but the real measure of your faith is revealed when you're standing in the middle of uncertainty, when you can't see the way forward and nothing seems to make sense. The test before the testimony is not meant to break you. It's meant to build you. It's God's way of preparing you for the weight of the miracle He's about to release. The deeper the test, the greater the testimony that will follow. The pattern is found all throughout Scripture. Before Moses could lead his people through the Red Sea, he had to face Pharaoh's army breathing down his neck. Before Joseph could wear the robe of authority, he had to be betrayed, sold, and imprisoned. Before Daniel could testify of God's deliverance, he had to spend the night in a lion's den. Before the 3 Hebrew boys could proclaim that God rescues, they had to stand inside a fiery furnace. Before the cross became a symbol of salvation, it was a place of suffering. Every story of divine power begins in a place of pain. And the same is true for you. If you are being tested right now, it's because there's a testimony waiting to be born out of your struggle. In those moments of testing, God is not absent. He is closer than ever, but He often hides His hand so that you can strengthen your heart. The test is where faith moves from theory to reality. It's one thing to talk about trust. It's another to stand in the storm and still declare, I believe. Tests reveal what's real in you. They separate surface faith from steadfast faith. When everything is stripped away, comfort, certainty, control, what remains is what truly anchors you. And when you find that your anchor still holds, even in the fiercest storm, that's when you realize how strong your faith has become. Tests are not punishments. They are invitations to grow deeper. They strip away distractions and bring you face to face with your dependence on God. In the middle of the test, you may not understand what's happening, but every tear, every trial, every sleepless night is working something eternal in you. The test refines you like fire purifies gold. It burns away what doesn't belong and strengthens what remains. Without the test, the testimony would have no power, no depth, no glory. Because it's not just the miracle people need to hear. It's the story of what you endured to get there. Many people want the testimony without the test. They want the victory without the battle, the promise without the pain. But a faith that's never been tested is a faith that can't be trusted. The tests prove that your belief isn't just based on blessings. It's rooted in conviction. It's in the dark moments that your light shines brightest. When you choose to trust God in the valley, your faith becomes a beacon for others who are walking through their own storms. What you're going through now will one day become the very story that gives someone else strength to keep going. Think of how powerful it is when someone stands up and says, I've been there and God brought me through. That's not theory, that's testimony. And that testimony only exists because they first endured the test. Your pain today could become someone else's hope tomorrow. Your endurance could inspire another soul to believe again. That's why you can't give up in the middle of your test, because the story isn't over yet. The very thing that feels like it's breaking you might be the thing that builds your greatest legacy of faith. When you're being tested, remember this: God never wastes a struggle. He doesn't allow pain without purpose. If He permitted the test, it's because He intends to turn it into something glorious. You may not see the full picture now, but one day you'll look back and realize that what you thought was working against you was actually working for you. The closed doors, the disappointments, the delays, they were shaping your faith, positioning your heart, and preparing your story. So don't despise your test. Don't run from it or curse it. Stand in it with courage. Keep trusting when it doesn't make sense. Keep praying when you feel tired. Keep praising even when you can't see the outcome, because the same God who allowed the test will use it to reveal His power in your life. And when the miracle comes, and it will, you'll have more than a blessing to show for it. You'll have a testimony that carries the fragrance of perseverance, faith, and victory. Your test today is the seed of your testimony tomorrow. The darker the night, the brighter the morning will shine. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, and hold on just a little longer. The test you're facing is not the end. It's the doorway to your miracle. And when you step through it, you'll have a story that will not only remind you of God's faithfulness, but inspire others to believe that their own miracle is coming too. The moment of your miracle may come when you least expect it, and that is why you must stay ready. Many people pray for blessings, but live as if they'll never arrive. They talk about faith, but their hearts are filled with hesitation, their minds with doubt, and their hands with weariness. Yet God moves in moments of readiness. He looks for those who are awake, alert, and available when His power begins to move. Staying ready means living every day as if today could be the day the promise comes to pass. It means guarding your spirit, keeping your heart open, and walking in obedience, even when you don't know what's next. Readiness is not a feeling. It's a discipline. It's a way of life. It's choosing to believe that God's word is true and His timing is perfect, even when your circumstances seem silent. It's refusing to let discouragement settle in your soul. It's saying, I may not see it yet, but I will not stop preparing for it. To stay ready means to keep your lamp burning like the wise virgins in the parable, waiting for the bridegroom. Some had oil in their lamps, some didn't. And when the bridegroom came, those who had prepared were welcomed into the feast, while the others missed their moment because they weren't ready. The miracle came for all, but only those who were ready could receive it. That's how life often works. Opportunities rise and fall like waves, but only the ready can ride them. Blessings appear suddenly, but they only stay with those who have built a foundation of faith and obedience. Staying ready means you don't let your prayer life grow cold. It means you keep your heart soft and your mind focused. It means you forgive when it's hard, serve when it's unseen, and praise when it's painful. Because the moment you let your guard down, discouragement slips in and dulls your spiritual senses. But when you stay ready, your heart can recognize the move of God even when others can't. The miracle might come disguised as something ordinary. It could appear in a conversation, a small opportunity, or a door you didn't expect to open. And if you're not spiritually awake, you might overlook it. Staying ready sharpens your discernment so that when the miracle knocks, you don't hesitate, you step forward in faith. God never sends blessings to those asleep in apathy. He entrusts them to those who are awake in expectation. So keep your spirit alive. Keep your faith active. Keep your focus firm. Staying ready also means staying faithful. Sometimes the hardest part of faith is consistency, doing the right thing over and over when you see no visible results. You keep praying, keep giving, keep serving, keep believing. You may not see the fruit today, But every seed you sow in faith is taking root beneath the surface. The harvest always comes to those who don't stop tending the field. Many people quit too early, right before the miracle breaks through. They lose heart, give up, and walk away, unaware that heaven was only one step away from releasing what they had been waiting for. Staying ready means staying steady, no matter how long it takes. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. God isn't looking for flawless people. He's looking for faithful ones. The miracle is coming for those who haven't lost their passion in the waiting, those who still show up, still believe, still lift their hands in worship even with tears in their eyes. Readiness is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about trusting that God is still good. It's about keeping the fire alive when the night is long and the dawn hasn't yet broken. Because once the dawn comes, and it will, you'll be glad you didn't quit in the dark. Sometimes readiness means letting go of what's comfortable so you can step into what's coming. It means releasing control and allowing God to lead. It means not clinging to the past when God is trying to pull you into the future. You can't carry old baggage into new blessings. So staying ready means living lightly, holding on to faith, not fear, obedience, not pride, hope, not regret. The lighter your heart, the easier it is for God to move you into your miracle. There's a divine urgency in this message. Your miracle may not knock twice. When the door opens, you must already be standing there. Heaven's timing doesn't wait for human hesitation. When God says, now, you need to be ready to step through. That's why you stay prayed up, stay humble, stay alert. Because when the season shifts, there won't be time to prepare. You'll either be ready or you'll miss it. So keep your lamp full, your heart pure, and your faith strong. Don't grow weary, because the promise is nearer than you think. You may not know the exact moment, but the movement of heaven is closer than your next breath. Stay ready, stay faithful, and stay expectant. Because one day soon, what you've been waiting for will arrive. And when it does, you'll be found standing tall, prepared, and full of faith. And in that moment, you'll know that every prayer, every tear, every act of faith was worth it. The miracle will come, and it will find you ready.